Hi, I'm Joan Agajanian Quinn, and welcome to the Beverly Hills View. Our guest is the Emmy Award winning costume designer and celebrity stylist Brenda Cooper, who was born and raised in England, where she attended convent schools and West End College. She's acted in films and hosted TV shows like E! Network's Fashion Emergency. She's a fashion advisor and a motivational speaker. Brenda won her Emmy for costuming the popular TV show The Nanny. She's not just a shopper, Brenda, but she's a shopper in Beverly Hills, right, Brenda?
There's a big difference.
Exactly. So I know you spent many hours buying clothes in Beverly Hills.
Yes.
And where did you shop?
Oh my God. Monday morning we'd read through the script of The Nanny, and then I would go over the script, and then I would be in my car into Beverly Hills. Neiman Marcus is the first stop, then Saks, then Rodeo Drive, just everywhere and anywhere.
But you had so many connections to Beverly Hills anyway with your family.
Yes. When I come to think about it, I only realized this today, Joan. Both of my kids were born in Beverly Hills on the 11th. I think it's the 11th floor of Cedars.
Yeah.
Both kids, one in 1996, one in 1998, and then I'm sitting thinking about my connection to Beverly Hills, and my former husband Corbin Burnson was born in Beverly Hills. He went to Beverly Hills High. His mum, Jean Cooper, who was one of the stars of The Young and the Restless, lived on Hillcrest.
Oh.
So I have more connection to Beverly Hills
than shopping.
Yes.
More than shopping.
I've gotten parking tickets in Beverly Hills.
Oh, right. Haven't we all, right? No, so when you went into the shops, did the people know you when you were coming in?
Oh yes, gosh, they loved me. They loved me. They loved my team. We would come in. I would have X amount of money to spend. What I loved about it is I was always in Beverly Hills spending other people's money.
That's great, and we love people spending money here anyway, right?
Yeah.
So how did this costume knowledge come from? You're a girl from convent schools.
Right. You know something, Joan? I had never had a formal education. I moved to the States in the 70s, and I lived in New York for 10 years, and then I came out to LA. I was pursuing an acting career, as so many of us were. I was going nowhere faster than the speed of sound, and I had to get a job. I was on my last job, and it's like, I can't do this anymore, and I need a job, but I wanted to stay in the business, in and around the business. So I actually started a little fashion consulting agency, and I would do all of my friends' mums, because they
had money.
They had the money, and I would go into their closets and I would reinvent their closets.
Oh, great.
And that's how I started. And then one day I was in Gold's Gym in Venice, and there was a man next to me. I started chatting to him, and he wanted me to do his wardrobe, to redo his look. And he said to me after I'd done it that he thought I was so good at what I did that he knew an agent, a top agent for costume designers, and he wanted me to meet her. And I was like, why would you want to meet me? I have no education. I've never done anything.
I'm not a costumer, right?
I'm not a costume. I'm not a costume designer, which there's actually a distinct difference. Well, not so much these days.
And we'll talk about that.
Yes.
Remind me.
Yeah. And so it took me 3 weeks to make the call. I made the call. 3 days later, I had a job assisting a designer, and 3 years later, I was walking up on stage to get that.
To get your Emmy.
To get my Emmy for my first job, which was The Nanny.
So you went on as an assistant. And what does a costume designer do? What did you learn? Because you must have been interning on the job.
Well, I have to tell you, Joan, it's so interesting, because when I had gone from acting behind the scenes, or they call it above the line and below the line, I mean, the world of costume design, which we don't even think about, there's so much to think about, and there's so much detail in breaking down a script, in taking a character off the pages of a script and bringing that person to life. So I started off being a shopper. I was a shopper, and then
You mean that's how the assistant does? You go out and do the shopping?
yes, you go out and do the shopping, you work on set, and then I had the great good fortune to work with this gentleman called Eduardo Castro, who's he was my mentor,
Oh,
a
right.
fantastic costume designer who's done
A lot.
a lot. Once Upon a Time in America.
He's done
no,
a
not Once
lot
Upon,
of
it's just
TV.
Once Upon a Time. Anyway, I haven't seen him for a while. And I assisted him on this show that was
Oh.
called Princesses, that had this unknown actress, Fran Drescher, Twiggy, and Julie Haggerty.
Wow.
So I was his assistant, and it was 6 episodes. It was short-lived. And on that show, Fran said to me, you know, Brenda, I love your work. I love the way you work. And if I ever get my own TV show, I want you to be my designer. And a year later, I get a call. Said, I just sold a show called The Nanny, and I want you to be the designer.
So that's the Emmy. That's the costume design.
Right.
That's the whole career.
Right. Well, let me just tell you something. The interesting thing about this is, way back then, and what was kind of amazing to me, is that people didn't really treat costumes or how you dress in TV as very important.
Right.
And so I decided when I got this show, I am going to make a statement. And Fran let me. She let me do my thing. And I actually wasn't entered by production, because
For the Emmy.
they enter all the people above the line, but they don't really enter people below the line. And so a friend of mine who was eligible to nominate people nominated me for an Emmy, and I got nomination, and then I got the Emmy.
And here we have you going on stage to
Yeah.
get the Emmy.
Yeah.
How shocked were you?
I was shocked, because I wasn't ever thinking about awards, or I was just loving what I did. And to be awarded the highest award in television for something you're passionate about was like, I mean, it didn't really hit me until I think afterwards. But
Look at this picture of you getting the Emmy.
yes, I'm nice and
And
skinny.
look
aren't I?
look at my jacket.
Yes, yes. Oh my God, I love it.
Libertine.
Yeah.
Johnson Hartig.
Yes.
And did you design your dress?
Well, I'll tell you who made that. John Hales, who's a very dear friend of mine, who makes all of the clothes for all of the designers, actually made that for me.
Isn't that great?
I mean, it's brilliant, because it's a very similar,
Right.
it's very similar leopard, but never goes out of style. We know that, right?
we know that.
We know that. We love leopard. We love animal prints.
Animal skins never go out. But did you actually have to make clothes as a costume designer?
Well, sometimes you do.
Oh, you do.
But I have to say that the show moved so fast. You know, I went out and shopped, and listen, Dolce & Gabbana, Moschino, I mean, all of these great, Hervé Leger, all of these great designers, they were all available to me.
So it doesn't take away from, say, the timing. Like, does it date your piece if you use those?
No, because I'll tell you, well, in my case, you know, the way I dress, the way I'm influenced is it's timeless. So it's like, when I was creating that show, I mean, I wanted that show 20 years ahead to be as timeless. you
Yeah,
know,
that's what I mean.
now as then. And I have to say that now, the show is huge. I mean, it's become iconic, in part because of the costumes. You know, 22 years later, hold on, 93, 100, 300, 25 years later. I mean, I run into girls who are in their 20s, and when they found out, I went to my son's a party at my son who's 20, his house the other day, his father's house. And when I walked in, I thought, you know, I'll just hide in the woodwork, I'm the mum. And then all the girls ran up to me and said, your son just told us that you were the costume designer on The Nanny. And I was like, yeah. Like, oh my God. And for half an hour, we're chatting and exploring. It was
But
just
so it
fun.
wasn't it. So you used Moschino and you used Todd Oldham a
Yes.
lot. Who was they really depicted that period though.
Yes, but it's how you put it together.
I see.
And I actually, you know, at home this morning, and I have to be honest, I forgot it. I just put the look together. Again, completely like that. I mean, all you need is a pencil skirt, a pair of high-heeled shoes, a fake tights, a white blouse, a colourful vest, and you're good to go.
So when you were working as a costume designer then, did you have assistants like you assisted
Yes.
Castro?
Oh my gosh, yes, you have to have assistants. You have to have a team because it moves. You've got like 5 days to pull together like 70 outfits because I was responsible for creating all of the looks.
Okay, let's talk about that. How, like, you go to Saks
Yes.
in Beverly Hills
Mm-hmm.
and you buy a Todd Oldham,
Mm-hmm.
and she's going to wear it this weekend.
Right.
How many Todd Oldhams can you buy? What if she spills something on it? You know, how it's not like a film where you have to buy several.
No.
Oh,
my
it's
God.
because in a film you have to buy several pieces,
well,
right? Or
sometimes,
make them.
depending on what's happening in the script, you have to buy doubles or triples. But in this case, it's a sitcom. We're doing it on stage. You know, we have all the resources there that we need. I can't ever remember anything like that happening. And I mean, those jackets, I have to say, in 1993, those jackets that I put to him were like nearly $1,000. In
Really?
1993, they were very expensive jackets, all those amazingly
And
colorful.
what happens to those clothes afterwards?
Oh my gosh, Joan, it's so sad.
What happens to them?
Well, I have to tell you, just before I started working with Fran, again on Happily Divorced, which was in 2012, I actually called up Sony because I wanted to access the wardrobe. And they had just sold it to a thrift store. So Sony had sold off a whole load of their wardrobe.
That's where the costumes go. That's
Right.
what we know.
So what happened? So all those incredible costumes, which for me are like children, all those costumes actually went into the central warehouse of Sony, and then it's just all slotted in. So it's all broken up, you know. So you'd pick something up and maybe you know it's from the Nanny, maybe you don't know it's next to something from another movie. And at some point, yeah, it was in 2012, Sony sold off a whole bunch of clothing, a part of which was the Nanny. So somewhere out there in the world, Joan, someone has in their wardrobe in size 2 or 4 a piece of clothing that Fran wore on the Nanny, and they don't know it probably.
Because the idea was when we were doing shoots for Interview, we would borrow the clothes. We would put them on our model or our celebrity, do the interview, and then give the clothes back.
Yes.
But you always bought them and kept them for your show.
Well, most of the time I bought them, and I had a budget.
Yeah.
Sometimes we would borrow. Todd used to lend me stuff all the time. Chanel lent me stuff sometimes. Hervé Leger. I've got a great story about Hervé Leger.
Those were all in Beverly Hills.
Yes, yes.
Chanel was here, you came to.
Yes, they would lend. So most of the time I purchased, but I would get some loans once in a while.
Well, we heard all about this. Let's go back to why you were acting. Why you didn't make it as an actress.
Do you know, honestly, should I be totally honest with you? I don't think I believed in myself.
Did you take acting classes?
Yes, I did. I took acting classes. You know, I met my husband, my first husband, Corbin Burnson, in acting class. I was in New York City, and I started acting classes. I think it was Warren Robertson and Bob McAndrew. And I modeled and I did commercials, and I was young and attractive. So, I mean, that's what you did. And so, but it was never, I could never, I just didn't have what it took to, I was actually a good actress, but I wasn't good at the business part of it.
You actually probably didn't want to do it.
It wasn't my calling. When I went into costume design, when I started going into people's wardrobes, it was like, oh my God, my career has found me. My passion has found me, and it just continues to be a passion.
But it's so funny because you wore a uniform to school every day as a child.
Yes.
With a necktie and a white shirt.
Which I still have.
But you know, maybe those were your influences, the colors that you put together.
Well, I don't know, Joan. It's, you know, I have an identical twin, okay, and she has different talents. She doesn't have this talent with clothing or this passion. Her passion is horses and being in the outdoors. But it's just a natural talent that I have for working.
But did she wear uniforms to school every day too?
We wore little English, typical schoolgirl uniforms. But I didn't even know I had this talent, Joan. I mean, I remember when I was 18 in London, when I moved to London, when I left home, I used to haunt the thrift stores.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah. I used to haunt the thrift stores and want to create looks like Katharine Hepburn. I wanted to look like Katharine Hepburn. So I started putting clothes together. But to me, I didn't even know it was a talent. I thought, this is just what I do, and it's what I enjoy doing. And I didn't know it was a talent.
Did you ever go to art school?
Joan, I haven't had a day of education in what I do.
So no art school,
No.
no costuming, no sew. Do you sew?
Do you know, I have to tell you, I actually don't sew, but I have to tell you because I'm so honored by this. The gentleman I mentioned before, John Hales, who's now 85, okay, and has just retired from the business, the first show he worked on was with Ori Kelly on Some Like It Hot. He assisted Ori Kelly on Some Like It Hot. We've been friends for 30 years.
Ori Kelly, such a name in show business.
Yes, and he was his assistant. And so a few months ago, John said to me, Brenda, I want to teach you how to sew.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh my God. And I've never been, passionate about wanting to actually learn how to sew. I love to put it together.
Right.
I love to create the look. But the fact that this man, this icon in his own right, is teaching me, how could I say no? So
did you learn?
I am learning. I love it.
I couldn't sew a thing.
I'm actually quite good at it, apparently.
Sewing?
Yes.
Can you cut a pattern and all
I haven't
that?
cut a pattern yet, but I can sew a straight line. I'm learning how to take chiffon scarves and do incredibly fine edges on them.
You hand roll, you mean?
On the machine.
Oh, you do it on the machine. Because they used to be hand rolled, right?
Yes, yes. So it's
No
fascinating. So no more of anything.
No more of anything.
Everything's changed.
You know, I have some pictures.
Yes.
And I know you didn't sew them, but I have this picture of the nanny. Let's talk about some of the wardrobe that you did at that time.
So I'll tell you what I loved about this. I found this in Beverly Hills, either at Saks or Neiman. Oh, no, actually, this is a Skada. I believe this is a Skada. And what is so amazing about it is it's covered in clear sequins.
Oh, we can't see it.
No, you can't see it, but that was covered in clear sequins. And when I saw it, it was like, oh my God, it's perfect.
Okay, here we have another one.
Okay, so this is an example of me. Fran lent herself to the Audrey Hepburn look beautifully. So that dress actually I rented is a rental from Bob Mackie. And I actually still have that necklace. I still have the necklace, and I wanted her to look like Audrey Hepburn. And Madonna actually wore that too. So I love that. I love that look.
I love Bob Mackie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you use him at all a lot?
Well, I used to rent some dresses. I put her in dresses.
And this one?
So this is the inspiration for the whole character. That vest we actually used on Twiggy in Princesses.
Oh, okay. So that was your first job when you were working.
So
on Princesses,
Princesses was my second job as an assistant.
As an assistant,
right.
Okay.
And so we had this vest, and when I got this show, which was my first show as a designer, I took this vest, and the shape, the form-fittingness of it, the color was the complete inspiration. That was from Cheap and Chic, and that's either Neiman's, Magnon's, or Saks.
Okay, we have this funny thing.
Okay, so this was, and I can't remember the episode, but it was a whole tropical thing. And talk about how circumstances can influence design. The reason it looked like that is because I didn't have enough fabric.
Oh, so you know what to do when you run out of fabric.
You have to be creative. You have to, and that's what I just love. So I wanted to create the look. I didn't have enough fabric for exactly what I wanted. So I worked with my team of seamstresses, and I actually brought it today. I still have that bottom part, and all it is a piece of fabric just tied in a particular way.
And she can wear. She was tiny, right?
Yes,
she was tiny. Okay, and this one.
Okay, so this is an example of see the vest, the corset part. So that corset part, I had that sitting on a rack for ages, and I'd spent $1,000 on it. My God! But I didn't know what to do with it, you know, because we would read the scripts and nothing lent itself to that. So then we had a script where Twiggy's on the show and she's getting married, and she was the bridesmaid. So what I did is I had a leotard sitting next to the corset. So I ripped the sleeves off the leotard, attached them to the corset, okay, and then had the skirt made, which picked up the velvet, and then you had this beautiful feminine bridesmaids look, and that's actually one of my favorite costumes.
These were all on TV. These have all been on TV.
Yes, all on. People are more familiar with the costumes than I am.
I have two here.
Okay, and Joan, I found this morning. So this one here, this Polaroid, is in the fitting. I'm in the fitting. I found that hat, which I still have, at Lily, the vintage clothing store opposite the Four Seasons.
Yes.
Yes. So I found that hat.
Burton Way.
Burton Way, exactly. And then if you see the dress, it's very plain. Well, plain isn't something we used on the Nanny, anything plain. So what I did is I took the dress, I added a collar to it, I added buttons to it, I added cuffs to it, and it's like pump up the volume as far as you can, keeping it on the elegant side of too far.
But making it look like your own.
But always fashion, making it always look fashionable, always having a sassy elegance to it.
Little touch of red.
Little touch of red, and always that thread underneath everything is always elegance. Even if it's tipping on trashy, it's trashy elegant. You know.
Was this on the
Yeah,
show too?
This is Patti LaBelle, and there's a great story. I mean, every picture I look at, there's a story. So Patti shows up on the show. She's a guest star, and she's supposed to bring her own clothes. But she didn't. And we're shooting in 2 hours. And I get into my car and I run into Beverly Hills. And what I had, you can't see them in this photo, but that's a pair of Norma Kamali satin pants underneath there.
Oh, great.
I ran to Loehmann's because of budget. I found this skirt that was by Donna Karan that was a skirt that went all the way round, okay? And the top part, I ran to Saks. I found a beaded dress and a beaded jacket. And what I did was I cut out the center, and you have to think really fast. I love that 50s hostess skirt
Yes, look at it.
So I cut out the front of it, I cut off the bottom of the dress, I cut off the jacket, I crossed everything over, I threw shoulder pads in it, I sewed her into it, and off she went onto the set.
And she was ready. She knew her lines, but she didn't have her costume.
Right, and she loved that so much. She loved this look so much that she took it.
She took it home with her?
Yes, and I was like, oh, I wanted that.
Brenda, we have to take a break.
Okay.
Do you still have something to say when we come back?
Of course I do.
Okay. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come right back to Brenda Cooper, and we're going to talk about her hosting and her motivational talks and her stylist, and also the work with men, because that's pretty interesting too. We'll be right back.
Body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast.
Morning, Gary. We are GetSchooled.com. You want a college education, don't you?
You know you do.
That's why we're here. We're free and here to guide you through every step of the way, starting with attendance. Gary, financial aid forms. Picking a college, man. You and us. We go together like tacos and Tuesday.
And I love tacos. Go to GetSchooled.com.
Hi, I'm Joan Agajanian Quinn, and welcome back to the Beverly Hills View. I'm here with celebrity stylist Brenda Cooper, Emmy Award winning stylist for the Nanny, Beverly Hills shopper. We can go on, Brenda. Yes. But, you know, you did take acting classes.
Yes.
And you did host these TV shows, and you did do motivational speaking.
I do.
Don't you think that the acting must have been some kind of background for you?
Yeah, I mean, yes, absolutely. The training was great. I think more than anything, the training as an actor has me understand the mind of an actor and the process of as a costume designer, creating the character of an actor, how to approach an actor, how to go in, how to withdraw, how to understand the mindset. I mean, Renee Taylor, who was the mum on The Nanny, always credits me, thank you, Renee, that she didn't even know who her character was until I dressed her. And when I dressed her in the beginning, she was very resistant. I mean, she had an iconic look as Fran did, and she didn't want to look like that. And I guess I have a way. And so she put the clothes on. As soon as she put the clothes on, she knew who her character was.
So she understood it, even though
Yes.
she did know that she was a mom, right?
She did know she was a mum, but she had never worn a girdle. And I gave her a girdle and said, Renee, would you put this on? And she always tells this story. And she looked at it and went, what's that? And I went, a girdle. And she went, who would wear that? And I went, you would wear that.
A mother, right? A mother from your period, you're right.
So I used the same principles on Renee as I did on Fran.
So talking about these TV shows, especially that Fashion Emergency, what was that kind of about?
So Fashion Emergency, I left the Nanny in the 4th season, and to have kids, to have my 2 beautiful boys. And a year later, E! Entertainment Television had called me because I had gotten so much press because of being the designer of the Nanny, and they invited me to be host one of the first makeover shows, which was called Fashion Emergency. So I was back in Beverly Hills, okay, but this time I wasn't actually buying clothes. I was going into all of the stores, all of the hair salons, and taking people and doing makeovers on them. And it was a half-hour TV show on E! That was on 3 times a day. It was hugely successful.
Were you on it alone?
No, there was a gentleman called Leon Hall, who has since passed, and a full-figure model called Emmy. So the 3 of us were the main hosts of the show, and it was hugely popular.
So tell me, are these kind of shows scripted? These makeovers, these Fashion Emergencies,
No.
these...
No, we weren't scripted.
You
I mean,
weren't
back
scripted?
then we weren't scripted at all.
Because it's like reality TV in
yes.
a way. It was the beginning of reality
Yes, it was
TV.
the beginning. But there's a thing called scripted reality.
Oh, I see.
Okay,
so
so-
was it that?
No,
Script-
it
oh,
was
wasn't?
totally. It was like turn the camera on and like here I am in Saxford Avenue with Mary Malone, and what we're going to do with her today is blah blah blah. And then I'd take.
So that was you.
So that was
So
me,
it-
and then I'd take her to a hair salon, and we'd talk about her hair, and then I mean, it was the pioneer. Fashion Emergency was the pioneer of all fashion television. There wasn't really anything other than Elsa Clench on CNN.
Oh, right.
You
I
know,
remember
her?
Elsa.
Yeah, how fantastic was that? And this was the pioneer for the last 20 years of fashion television. And I want to do the show again.
Did it have any kind of critique part of it to it? I mean, were you critiquing these people?
Yes.
Were you mean?
No.
Because, you know, you get on these shows that they're very mean, and
I know, I
I've
think
been
that-
told that with a
Joan?
British accent you can get away with anything.
No, can I tell you something? How I roll, it may get ratings to be nasty to people. For me, being nasty, I don't want to be nasty. What I want is to find the essence of your greatness, the essence of your beauty.
Positive.
The positivity of the whole thing, and bring that out. I don't want to shame you, put you down, and then make you look beautiful according to just what I think. Because when I would work with my makeovers, it's also about, you're not just dressing a body, you're dressing a personality, you're dressing a lifestyle. So the look has to reflect all of the needs of that, so that after the person's not on camera anymore, they can actually still use the tools
Well,
that
that's
they
what they're
learned.
supposed to do,
Yes,
right?
but a lot of them don't.
I see. Well, because maybe they don't feel comfortable, or maybe that isn't how they see themselves.
Well, you know something, if I'm going to be totally honest, Joan, I mean, a lot of it's done for ratings. You know, of course.
That's what I'm asking, if it was scripted, if it were scripted.
No, nothing was scripted. Nothing was
But if
scripted.
it were scripted, it could be for ratings too, right?
Yes. But it was the beginning of fashion television. We would literally, there would be a camera, we'd be in a store, I would have one outfit, I'd talk about the outfit, I'd talk about the second outfit. I mean, the show was done on such a small budget. And we would literally, it would just be spontaneously working with the person, and I don't roll with being mean, so my personality wasn't mean, even though it's British.
No, but I'm just saying any kind of an accent gives you, people think it gives you that authority or credibility. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
To say something.
Yeah.
I'm going to show one of these makeovers and
Yes.
have you talk about it. So here's this girl.
Yes.
I don't know this girl. She's in jeans and
Yes.
just has a jacket with a hoodie.
Right, and that makeover, and I recognize it, even though this is, hold on, this is like 18 years later, because of the store. I did that at Bulmish, which isn't in Beverly Hills anymore.
But it was a great shop.
Wasn't it fantastic? It was a fantastic store. So that's her before.
Okay. And where did she come from?
I can't remember that.
Just from somewhere?
People used to write in and
I
they wanted
see.
to be on the show. Everybody wanted to be on the
I
show.
see.
And then that's the after, and I love that dress. It's one of my favorite designers. They're called Mandalay. They used to do these beautiful satin dresses that were all embroidered. And I used to go to the owner's house. I actually drove past it coming here and went, that's the house that I bought that dress in. And in this show, it was a borrow. It wasn't a purchase. Because he had no budget.
Oh, I see. See.
So that's a
And
before
then
and after.
hair and makeup, you
And
went
hair-
here?
No, I can't remember where we did it, but I think I've been to every salon in Beverly Hills and done some kind of hair and makeup makeover. It was so much fun, but it was such a different. There was money on the Nanny, and there was no money on E. So you had to get creative. And when I'm dressing people, I dress from the inside out, which includes the right bra, the right underwear, everything, to build a look on. And on E, you had nothing. We had nothing. So it was quite challenging. So I want to tell you a quick story.
Okay.
Okay, I was in a store in Beverly Hills once, and the lady I had was size 10. And the largest size was size 6. Okay. And what I had to do with her was put 2 skirts, one on the top and one on the bottom, to make a dress. And you had to think that fast. You had to think that quickly. So I used 2 skirts to make one dress.
To make one dress.
Yes, so that it looked right on camera.
Oh, I love it. Okay, that's quick on your feet.
You have to be quick on your feet.
The other thing is you did things on stage. You shared the stage with people like Jamie Lee Curtis and
Yes.
Maya Angelou
Yes.
and Jose Eber.
Yes.
Was it all about makeovers?
It was about makeovers. It was about beauty. It was my passion, besides doing what I do, working with women, men and women, and working on TV, is to actually talk and to empower people and motivate people around the extraordinary importance of first impressions, because so many people just don't think it's that important.
But we do depend on the first time we look at somebody, we make a decision.
Yes, you make it in 4 seconds. You make a
Exactly.
decision about somebody, and people say, even if it's a T-shirt and jeans, but it has to be the right T-shirt and the right jeans to send the right message. So,
But I also think it's a lot about posture, about the way the person presents themselves, don't you?
no, it's totally. I mean, your body language is a part of it. But when you look in the mirror, Joan, and you like what you see, and when you look in that mirror and it's a yes, okay, your body language,
it goes with it.
It goes with it. It changes it. So I just, the whole image thing. It's like, it's like sending a message so that people have a positive impression of you before you say hello.
But those were such diverse people, like Jamie Lee Curtis
Yes.
is great.
Yes.
Maya Angelou.
Okay, I have to tell you the Maya Angelou thing. It was so cool. I
mean, next to Jose Eber, we
Well,
got
we
these
were
like
all at the same event, Joan. It was down in North Carolina. It was some huge. I can't even remember what the event was, but I was hosting it. I was hosting the weekend. Okay, and this is so ignorant of me. Maybe it's because I'm English. I had the opportunity to meet Maya Angelou, and I didn't know who she was, so I passed.
Oh, you
I passed. I think it's one of the greatest regrets of my life. And I'm waiting to go on stage with her, and she's standing right next to me, and she whispers to me, and she goes, "I just love the work you do on Fashion Emergency."
Oh, she knew you.
And I'm like, oh my God. Yes, and it was like the greatest compliment.
I know, that's so great. One of the other things we talked about being a celebrity stylist.
Yes.
And I think we've mentioned this all during this whole show. And you have worked with Renee Taylor, and you
Yes.
talked about working with Twiggy.
Yes.
Donna Summer, who's like
Yes.
fantastic.
Oh my
There's
God.
a show on Broadway right now,
Yes.
Donna.
Yes.
The Donna Summer show about her life.
Yes.
Great singer. You worked with her as
Yes,
well.
I worked with Donna very briefly. Seal Kasha was her manager. Do you remember Seal?
Yes, I do,
Yes.
actually.
Yes. So I can't even remember how I met Seal, but I actually, Donna loved some of my personal clothing, my personal collection. So we copied some of my clothing, and my friend John Hales made them. I made those clothes for her, and some of the clothes that she wore. So you work with people in all different,
different ways,
in all different capacities.
And you mentioned earlier that you worked with some men, but you worked with Terry Bradshaw. I mean,
Yes.
sports people.
Oh my God, yes. And it's so interesting because I've actually just been traveling the world with William Shatner, Terry Bradshaw, George Foreman, and Henry Winkler.
Better late than never.
Better late than never on NBC. The most extraordinary experience of going through these cities, all through Asia, all through Europe.
But with icons of the screen.
Yes, they were incredible. They were so incredible
But
to
Terry
work with.
Bradshaw was an icon in a different way,
Yes,
but on the screen.
But he still has to wear clothes.
So what did you do with these, with him especially?
Well, we went through Asia and we went through Europe, and it's a reality show.
Yeah.
Again,
we're talking about better late than never.
better late than never. So I take each of these gentlemen and I look at them and it's finding the essence of who they are.
So Henry Winkler.
So Henry Winkler is kind of preppy.
We love him.
We'd go preppy with Henry. Bill looks better in darker colors.
Because is he heavier?
Aren't we all heavier?
Yes, but I'm wondering, is that why you use dark colors?
No, because he looks elegant in dark
I see.
colors. Okay, Terry, I would have him on the direction of the executive producer in Hawaiian shirts.
Oh,
Okay.
oh yeah,
But
yeah.
Terry and George, they're ex-athletes, and a retired athlete looks great on them, and so I would put George in Adidas tracksuits.
Oh.
And he would look fantastic. Again, you're telling a story on screen, and you want to have a different, each person has a different personality, so you want that reflected in what they're wearing.
So are they taping all over the world?
Well, now
They're doing their show?
Yeah, we're not doing it. The show got cancelled.
But they did it all over.
Yes, we went through Tokyo, Kyoto, Seoul, Hong Kong, Chiang Mai, and Phuket in 30 days.
And did you take the clothes with you, or did you buy things there?
Joan, shall I tell you what I did? Because it was a big challenge. I took
Well, really?
40 suitcases of clothing with me.
Oh, you did.
Yes, with no crew.
You did.
Yes.
So you bought everything here.
I had to prep the entire show before I left because it's television, it's not film. It moves so fast. When we went through Europe, I had Matador outfits in Madrid, which I had to find here. Lawrence of Arabia outfits in Morocco, when they come into Morocco. Viking outfits in Sweden. So
You're kidding.
Yes.
So how did you organize all these? Did you have like trunks for Vikings and trunks
yes,
for Matadors? And
if you want, and I tell you, John, I'm not naturally, organization isn't necessarily my strength, but this certainly taught me this. You're traveling with 40 suitcases through each of these cities,
Right.
so you have to know which suitcases is the Vikings,
Exactly.
or which suitcases is for Morocco. So besides the creativity of creating the look, you have to have the structure in place, and it was an extraordinary experience. They were incredible to work with. They were so supportive of me because they knew I was basically a one-man, one-woman show.
And had they tried on everything here before you took it?
I flew to George's house in Texas and
Oh.
fit him. I flew to Terry's house in Oklahoma and fit him.
Oh, my.
Henry's here and Bill's here. So yes, there's a lot that goes into,
Yes, and that must
dressing
have
a person.
taken so much time before you even got on the road to
weeks.
start.
Weeks.
Weeks.
Yes, I think the first one may have been 8, 9, 10 weeks of prep, and the second one was like 7 or 8. Then I had to. I'll tell you, in Sweden,
You wore me out.
I know, I wore myself out. But in Sweden, I had to have them look like ABBA because we went to the ABBA museum, and I have to say they looked so amazing. It was so much
Were
fun.
those funny 70s?
Yes.
Did they wear bell bottoms?
They wore bell bottoms.
did.
And what I would do with Bill, because Bill loves to wear a certain sweatpant, so he had a black sweatpant, and then I would cut out a V.
So you had.
He'd have his sweatpants on, but I cut out the V and put sparkly sequins in the V.
So
I
great.
bought sparkly jackets for them. I mean, honestly, just so much fun. They were all such good sports. They would do anything.
That's so
It was
great.
incredible.
That's so great. Well, we've had such a good time talking to you today.
Well, thank you for having me on the show.
And you know, when we look at it, people think fashion is frivolous, but fashion really does play an important realm of our lives.
Yes.
And I think that you can talk to that
I know.
about how important fashion is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the clothes that we wear. I mean, I always say that actually we're dressing the temple of our soul. Okay, so it's a marriage of your inner closet, of your thoughts about how you feel about yourself, and you can improve your self-esteem, improve your confidence by how you dress the outside. So for me, it's a marriage of your inner and your outer to reflect a powerful, confident, self-assured image that has people see you as a person of credibility and authority before you say hello.
Before you say hello, and before we say goodbye, was my jacket okay?
I am absolutely in love with you. Yes, it's incredible. Look,
Well, he sells in Beverly Hills,
Yes.
Johnson Hartig.
It's
Very
fantastic.
young designer showing at the New York shows. And so we want to bring that kind of work to our
Right.
TV show.
And if I was doing the Nanny today, I would be using that jacket.
Oh,
Totally on one of our characters.
so
And our whole set looks beautiful. We're all in harmony together with the lighting and everything. It makes me so happy.
I'm so glad. How can you go any further than that? Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for watching our show today. I'm Joan Agajanian Quinn. We'll see you next time on the Beverly Hills View.